live right now. So welcome. We are here at the NDILC Principles number 5, Know Yourself. And our host today is going to be Leora Ruzin. We had it yesterday, so take it away.
Are you guys sick of hearing from me? Well, that's just too bad, right? I know I've been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks, so I'm coming out of my shell and really excited to be hosting principle number 5, which is Know Yourself. I think this is something that is a topic that everybody can resonate with, no matter what channel of business you're in or what industry you're in. And definitely right now, as we continue to deal with the effects of the pandemic, we can get lost in the shuffle. We can get lost in the craziness that we're all dealing with right now. And I know a lot of it, me, myself included, you kind of get a little introspective and you ruminate on things sometimes and you kind of lose sight of what it is to know yourself. So this is a very important principle, especially right now. So we do have we have a light crew today. So I'm going to kick it off to Angie. Angie Weeks, if you want to introduce yourself and then, just talk about what you feel it means to know yourself.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Angie Weeks. Thank you so much, Leora, for hosting this, and Desiree and NAWRB for putting this on. I think that knowing yourself is obviously such an important thing, no matter what your career is or what your path is, because really that's how you can maintain your sense of self and authenticity when you're doing your daily dealings. So when I'm working in the real estate realm, for example, there's always somebody out there that will push your boundaries, right, you guys? And that's where it's so important, especially as a female, to know yourself and to have those boundaries and not allow people to kind of push you around, because if not, then you get molded into what other people think that you should be. And we all have those like pressures from society or family or anything like that. And really, just to me, the way that I get to know myself is through quiet time and meditation and yoga. I will be transparent that I have not been great on that this last year with COVID. It's I'm a Gemini, so I'm a group person, and I used to like to do it in the studio. And now when you got me at home, like I'm just sitting there text messaging while I should be on the mat. So I know myself, and that's something that I'm working on. And I think that I love this group because you guys are just so honest about yourselves. And I don't find that out there in the space, especially when we're dealing with a lot of virtual stuff, because we can only put we can always just put the bright, shiny part of ourselves out there. And I love it that each of you ladies are honest and authentic about what's going on with yourselves so that we can all grow together. So yeah, that's me, Angie Weeks.
I love that. And what's interesting is Desiree and I did the Know the Rules of the Game podcast yesterday, and it was all about mental ebbs and flows. And you touched on something that we spoke about very heavily, which is, letting the negativity and those naysayers rent space in your head and, spending time comparing yourself to others, especially when it comes to things like where you are in your career, where you are in a journey that you might be going through. So for anybody who didn't get a chance to watch the live yesterday, I would recommend watching the recording. We posted it up on all of the social media platforms, but we got real down and dirty on the mental ebbs and flows during the pandemic. And it just ties right into the know yourself. And I don't think we did that on purpose, Desiree, but it just kind of worked out really well that way. So Vanessa, do you want to, yeah. So Vanessa, do you want to introduce yourself and then tell us what you think it means to know yourself?
Sure. My name is Vanessa Montañez. I'm part of NAWRB and also Delegate Spokeswomen. I've been involved for several years with this organization. On my day job, I work at US Bank as a business development manager for the West region. And when I think about know thyself, I always think I'm like, known thyself. And I think of the philosopher Socrates. And it really comes with knowing who you are as a person. And just to Angie's point, being authentic with yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think this year, I mean, year and a half that we've had the pandemic, it's been a really good wake-up call for all of us to be to one, be more introspective of your life, of who you are, because it really had us in shelter in place. We were at home. So it was a really good time to recharge your batteries, refuel yourself, and know what is important to you. Because this was a wake up call for all of us. I don't care where you lived in the world, it really impacted all of us mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and also financially. But I thought this was a really good wake up call to really be reflective of who you are, what is important in your life, what are the things that matter most. And most of those don't have price tags. It's called your values, it's called love, family, and just being together and being more united, and just being vulnerable, being your true self, and really being grateful and blessed of where you are in life. Some of us got sick, some of us didn't get sick, but just knowing who you are as a person and what was your truth. Because everyone has a different reality and a different life experience, and we're in different places at all times. But it was a really wake up call to me, knowing thyself, because I realized most things in life don't come with the price tag. It's really my family, my love, my husband, my family, and it just pulled me through my friends that were authentic, that were there in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so that that kept me motivated, and it still continues to give me more fire and fuel to just know how to navigate and being just authentic. If you don't like something, that's fine, say no and set your boundaries, but just be authentic and move forward.
So I have a question for you ladies. So during this time, is there anything that you in this theme of know yourself or know thyself? I love that, Vanessa, know thyself. Is there anything that you have been wanting to do that you were afraid to do, but during this time frame you've decided, let's just go ahead and make it happen? So something, something new you wanted to learn, or a career change that you wanted to make, something that was definitely very risky, but you went ahead and took the bull by the horns and made it happen.
And do you want to take
So
that
first,
one?
Vanessa?
So through the pandemic, I have my sister is one of my best friends, and I have another best friend, Rosario, and we created Leader Talks. And this came out of the pandemic. We wanted to be a lot more impactful in how can we uplift, motivate other women and those supporting women. And I've been in this space a long time because when I'm a scholar practitioner, I do gender studies and I study this. So we started with the podcast, and it grew. And I'm not like socially media friendly. I've never done this. I tell everybody I'm a reborn millennial because I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin looking at a webcam, because we were a lot more interactive in person. So it started out as an idea because of the pandemic. It was scary because we've never done anything like this. We're not influencers, we're normal persons. And so what we did, we want to enrich, educate, and empower others. And it's morphed into something amazing where I'm getting to know these impressive leaders, speakers, influencers, like every gamut that you can think of. And it's been a great experience. And we started with just a few followers. Now we have a few hundreds, and now we have thousands of views. So it's something that's growing organically, but out of the pandemic, we did it out of fear just because we were in a funk and we want to motivate others. And it's been a great experience. One of my great experiences with the pandemic, and it was on a positive note, being scared out of my mind, not knowing what we were going to encounter, but we move forward and we're persevering. And like tomorrow, I have Leslie Patterson. She's a 5-time world champion for triathlons around the world. She's a superstar. She is, she's an athlete. She's an author. She's a coach. She's worldwide known. And it's just incredible when you ask people, normally say, yes, let's do it because they want to motivate and help others. So it's been a wonderful experience to see the love and the support of others and those that are, wow, like I would love to interview, I'm putting it out to the universe, like an Oprah Winfrey. So it's just like people
shoot for the stars.
I know, really. No, but really, people have a great heart and they're willing to share their experience and be genuine and share their journey and know that we're not alone. Like, yet they have had bad experiences too. And she had a challenge with Lyme disease. I'm like, wait, you also were sick? Yes. So that's been my best experience thus far. That and being grateful and blessed. So
Yeah, and I think that you definitely touched on, and I touched on this on our podcast yesterday. No matter where you are socially, financially, you may seem like you have your stuff together, but in reality, we are all dealing with different trials and tribulations that have been magnified
Absolutely.
because of the pandemic. And in that theme of knowing yourself, it's just be real about it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should just spend all of their time being negative and feeling sorry for themselves and being in that victim state, but we being that happily fake person all the time is not helpful to anybody either. And then there's people on social that just drive me bananas, where all they post is inspirational quotes and absolutely nothing else. I'm like, there's got to be more to you than just an inspirational quote on a meme that you downloaded off of Google. Like, tell us who you really are, not just speak through these inspirational quotes. And if that makes me look like a bad person, I don't, whatever, it is what it is. But they're, come on, just be real and be authentic. Give me an inspirational quote that talks about how much life sucks right now, but how are you getting through it? That's what we need right now. That's how we can connect with each other and really know what it means to be connected through this crisis that we're in. So Angie, what about you?
So there's a couple things that just had me really afraid last year. And one of them was like, what's going to happen with real estate? Are we going to go into, foreclosures and all that when we took the nosedive in March before our V-shaped recovery? So I was trying to think, okay, what could I do? And I went in and I got my therapeutic art designation and for like therapeutic art coach or whatever. And that was something that we theme our Airbnbs around health and wellness and therapeutic art. So I wanted to have like some type of a designation about that. And that's like completely like, I do drawing and painting and stuff like that, but nothing about like, your mental health connected with art. And that was something that was really out of my zone, but it was interesting to get that designation. And I've utilized some of that by doing Zoom paint nights and things like that with friends that were struggling, just to, have some sense of like, how can we get together and do something on Zoom? And it was actually pretty fun. So that was one thing. And then the other, like, as a real estate agent, most people perceive you to have to be in town all the time. And I took a 3-month summer trip to travel the country, and still I closed more deals last year, more volume than I had in years. And I was super scared to do that. So one of the things that led me so that I could still stay relevant while doing that was those weekly videos that you guys, would see every Friday, and that
Right.
and so that was also something that was like, I know video SEO and I know all that stuff. I marketed people all the time, but like to do it myself was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I was afraid and I did it. And I feel like that was really successful, and it continues to help things along. And I just wanted to say to Vanessa, like, I love it that you did, you're just bringing other women along with you. And that's part of what I'm trying to do with these videos. Like, I know a lot of people are too busy to watch them, but that small percentage that are, maybe I inspire someone else to buy real estate, maybe to change their life and their future. And that's what we're looking to do here, is raise
But
each other up, right?
you definitely get a lot of impressions, and because I see those videos, and every week you're definitely getting more and more impressions and more interactions with those videos, and it's become kind of a cool thing. Where's Angie this week? What's the amazing backdrop that she's going to be standing in front of? So
And the backdrop and the
yeah, it's like I got severe FOMO when I watch all your videos. It's like here I am in here, and you're in front of like this amazing pier with a bunch of boats behind you, and I'm like, where are you? And how can I be there? So Desiree, I mean, you've always got your hand in all kinds of cookie jars. So what have you been working on that's something that you didn't think that you would be doing as a result of the pandemic? I already know what it's going to be, but
Well, it's kind of interesting because, to be very blunt, know yourself. We talked about last week on the NDILC Leadership Council with Marsha Davies, and I was nervous because I had to really think of where I found myself, and that was 2 years ago. I found that to know myself was, okay, I'm in this bucket, but did I have the confidence to do it? Is this something I really wanted to do? And so it's thankfully I found myself a year before the pandemic. Otherwise I would have had a severe struggle, because I still struggled during the pandemic. The last 6 months, I was like, okay, what am I doing? How's this working? And so one thing, if you all know about me, I'm a motor mouth. I don't shut up. I just go, 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 go. Desiree, I gotta go. Get over this. You're doing. And I found myself on the calls being reserved because I didn't move. I didn't stand up. I didn't become my energy self that I was on stage. I never stopped. And so it was really hard for me to look in this box and not go, okay, where am I going to present myself and talk? And so something happened very interesting at the end of right around the week before Christmas. I got a phone call, and not to go into too many details, but it was a communication platform, and said, we need to engage. We need to get things going. And from that moment, every single day until today, and continue every day, it has been serendipity for my life. And one of the greatest things that have changed my perspective and my outlook is that Clubhouse. I'll be very honest. I am not social. I've been part of LinkedIn for 14, 15 years. Yes, I have 25,000 followers and connections. And yes, we do, quality posts and things. And we've have, thousands of articles that we've written and things. And so we've been in R&D. So, okay, great. But what is R&D? It's flat. There's no engagement. It's like, oh, statistics are, X amount of women, 4 times the number of women lost their jobs during the pandemic. And yes, it affects more of the, women of color. And yes, the men gained job opportunities and women lost it all, but no one sees that, And yes, that women had, that you couldn't get a loan back in the 70s unless you were sterile as a woman. We could go down these really just dropping things. But where was the conversation? It was flat statistic. You read it and you walked away. And so I said, how do we get this to be a live interaction? And so when Clubhouse came out, and I was forced literally by multiple people and saying, you got to go get it. I'm an Android user. Oh, you crazy. I got to go to an iPhone. I've never had anything on iPhone. So I went out, bought an iPhone. Those who know me, Desiree's got to buy everything at a discount. She doesn't pay full price for anything. So anyway, I cracked down and I had to go buy this iPhone, but I got credit for my Android. So, okay, fine. I got a little bit of money. So I didn't pay full price. Anyways, keep true to who I am. So I went and bought the iPhone. It is worth 10 times what I paid for it, because what I have gotten out of Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is a way to interact without visually having to be distracted by how beautiful Vanessa looks. Like, oh my gosh, look at the background. Angie's out in the background. Look at Vanessa, look at Leora, you're doing your workout, So I'm thinking of you, how I can better you and what my framework looks like, versus then going, what am I transmitting? What am I thinking? What am I listening to? And that being said, the opportunities of being a direct live interaction and framing someone up as a visionary strategist has been godsend for me, literally, because when you get up on stage, what do you do when you know yourself? You've got to stand up and let people see you, hear you, and you're always on stage as an addition. So I have a motto. I've never gone anywhere without being seen or heard. So if I can get up and stand up and make a comment to where if I need to spend my time, money, and energy, then I must be seen and I must be heard. So if there's an opportunity to stand up and ask a question, if I'm not a presenter or the keynote speaker, then I will make sure I stand up and ask that question so everyone can see who I am, how I frame my questions, and how knowledgeable I am. Because then I command the room, right? I've been accused of taking over rooms, but that's a whole nother story. So the Clubhouse has created an environment to where my ideas of thinking future 5, 10 years has been the best thing that could happen to me. So when we talked yesterday, Leora, I'm so jazzed that I don't have to look every day and be something that I might not want to get up and dress up that day, but I want to talk and I want to give that information. So as you can tell, I get excited about it, because what is the greatest thing we can do? Quality of life, impact as we age out, how we take care of healthcare, and how we can integrate that philosophy. And if you could do it to the masses of the world and get other people to line and see what you're doing, they gravitate. So I have garnished thousands of women that are like my phone blows up, my LinkedIn, everything has gone nuts. And I'm like, so we're actually framing out a meetup room every week, other than the clubs, to literally say, how do I develop, like you have a 22 unit Michigan property, Angie, that you're dying to get involved. I've got 10 people lined up that would partner up to make that happen. Containers in Canada, people who are doing, you know, insurance, people who are taking care of things. And you're just like, okay, where can we put all the pieces, all the SPACs? I'm working 5 different SPACs, you know,
That's
where
crazy. That's awesome.
it's like you're going, and women on boards. I mean, having 20 women put on boards. I mean, it has been an unbelievable. So when you say know yourself, I told you yesterday, Leora, and please listen to it. You are, in my opinion, a leader in showing all the things that have happened to your life, and yet you still show up. And that takes a leader to be a leader of all the issues, of all the tragedies you've had in your life, and physical, mental, and loss of life. And you've gone through that. Look at you. That is who I look as, you as a leader. No, seriously, because it takes all kinds to get that done. And that's what know yourself is. So I believe you found yourself, that you show up and you know what you're getting, because you've already had everything, the book thrown at you, and you're
Yeah.
still here.
And I'm still getting the, you know, the book thrown at me even right now. And, you know, what I know about myself right now is I am still a hot mess. I am still trying to figure things out. You know, I'm like, I didn't get dressed up for this because I'm, you know, I woke up this morning with a migraine, and I almost wanted to tell you, look, I'm going to have to tap out. I can't do this, but here I am, and I'm present, and I'm here for my tribe, my girls, and to the greater, you know, ecosystem, because it is important. It's important to let everybody know that we're here, and we're pushing through as best as we can. And it's not all glamorous. It's not all fantastic, you know.
Leora, I just want to say you are more than just a leader. You are a badass leader, girlfriend.
Oh,
Seriously.
thank you.
Like, I've been listening to the Jen Sincero books. If any of you that are watching us right now have not listened to Badass Habits, or you are a badass at making money, those are great books. And you remind me of everything that she talks about in those books, all about the good habits, all about, you know, making sure you know yourself and things like that. So I just want you to know that. And I probably, if I had a migraine, I would not be on here right now. So I give you huge kudos, girlfriend. Thank you.
I know.
So,
and then you just did your 75 workout scenario.
75 hard. Yeah. And so,
Yeah. I was like, wait, what's that? I learned about that through you, and I've seen your progression. You were just awesome.
Yeah.
And I've definitely, so for anyone who doesn't know about 75 hard, I'll do the quick and dirty. It's not a promotion of any kind. I don't get paid to pitch this program. But people think it's like a workout program. It is not a workout program. It's coined a mental toughness challenge. And I do have to drop off in 6 minutes because I have a job interview.
I will take over. We're good.
Okay. But for 75 days, there was a strict list of items that I had to do every single day for 75 days straight, with no deviations, no modifications to fit my lifestyle. They call it 75 hard for that particular reason, because it's meant to really get you uncomfortable and break you out of your comfort zone and show you how you waste a lot of time on frivolous things, and you let people rent space in your head that shouldn't. So for 75 days, I had to do 2 45-minute workouts each. One had to be outdoors, didn't matter what the weather was like, and they had to be spaced apart. So you couldn't just do an hour-and-a-half workout and call it 2 45-minute workouts. I had to drink a gallon of water, which was insane. Had to follow a strict diet of my choosing. I've been on the keto diet since I was diagnosed with diabetes last year. So I just continued on the keto diet and intermittent fasting. No cheat days, no cheat meals, not even a little bit, no alcohol. I had to take a progress picture every single day, even if I didn't feel like it. And I had to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day. So and that was the most difficult part for me, because I've never really been an avid reader. And when I do read, I read fiction books that allow me to escape from my reality. But it was an amazing experience, and I finished it last Friday. So I was successful in finishing 75 hard. And yes, I did lose some weight. I lost 15 pounds. I've lost a total of 75 5 pounds since I started my health journey. I lost a bunch of inches in a bunch of different places. But what I learned is, I spend too much time on my phone at night doing stupid stuff like watching TikToks. I'm one of those ridiculous TikTok moms, and I make excuses. And like today, I would have been like, oh, migraine, I'm going to go ahead and just stay in bed and not get on this live. But I've already started to adapt some of the things I was doing every day into my daily life. Like I still haven't missed a workout. So I've been working out every day, even though I'm not doing 2 workouts. I feel like yucky if I don't do it. I'm still reading every day. I'm not drinking a gallon of water, but I'm drinking at least 80 ounces. And I realized I didn't miss alcohol as much as I thought that I would. So I really did learn a lot about myself through that experience. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do it, but I think that if you can, you should. And it doesn't matter where you are in your physical journey, your fitness journey. You just do what's comfortable for you. Like in the beginning, if I had tried to do this last year when I weighed 235 pounds, there's no way I would be doing like walking for both of my workouts. But now I'm able to do more and I feel really good about it. But in the spirit of know that yourself, this isn't something I think I could have done a year ago before I started this journey that I've been on. And now I'm like, well, what's next? What's the next crazy thing that I should try? Yeah. And so I'm like, should I just do 75 hard again and see how much further I could take it, so, like, what's the next thing that I should do to really push myself outside of my boundaries and outside of my comfort zone? So what I've learned about myself through the pandemic is that I am stronger than I give myself credit for. And if I really put my mind to it, I really can accomplish anything. So as I transition to getting into job interview mode, I'm going to pitch this question to all 3 of you. What's something that you didn't think that you could do that you now have full confidence that you can do as you've gone through this experience with the pandemic?
And you start, you have to go first.
That is a great question. Gosh, I feel like there's a few things, but one of them is just that I can function in a digital world. Having the tech background and things like that, like you have your career box and you know that you could do that for career wise, but being like disengaged from people and not, distancing and all that stuff, like how could I function? So this was something that like we actually learned to function as human beings in the digital space. And that's something that because I was so digitally, kind of heavy with my career before for the most part and doing most of my marketing as a real estate agent digitally and all that, I didn't really do a ton of, just person to person stuff. It was always like work online. And now, learning how to actually, I was just thinking like last Easter, I had my family on Zoom for brunch. And that was something, just like little things like that, I'm not going to get your boomer like aunts and uncles on Zoom for brunch. Like, so yeah, we can function in this digital land. And Leora, I am curious. I want to wish you good luck on your interview, but if you don't mind, like letting us know some of those books that you were listening to during 75 Hard, I think that would be of value to our community that's out there watching. So yeah. And then Vanessa, do you want to take it on?
Just to Andy's point, something that I learned about myself that was the technology piece. So part of my job pre-pandemic was traveling. About 40% of the time I'm up in the air going to different events, conferences, trade organizations, and then I cover a large geography. So I learned that I am happy being at home. My home is my sanctuary, to Desiree's term, sanctuary. But I learned to be a little bit more using technology a lot more, like Zoom. Who knew I should have invested in Zoom when I heard that stock went up like almost 400%. I was like, shoot, I lost an opportunity. But that's my business background. So I learned how to be a lot more comfortable in my skin. Good luck. I learned a lot more how to be comfortable in my skin in this virtual world where I wasn't really dependent. Now, I feel like I'm even more structured. I have more meetings online than I cared to before because people do want to interact. So it's been a really interesting, great journey overall. I'm still my funny self. I'm still me, but just a lot more comfortable in my skin virtually and on camera, which is interesting. Before I was more comfortable speaking and engaged in live audience, but now it's like I could do both. So who knew this was something that technology, it really came in handy, having really good technology. And if it doesn't, we only had like maybe 2 power outages or something happened with the cable. But I realized you have to be picky with your technology choice. Is it going to be cable? Is it going to be, so the different carriers were different services. And that I learned also that there's a difference between a cable modem and non-cable. The fiber optic. I'm like, what? This is not my job. I don't want to learn about this. Yes, you do, because you want fast and efficiency. And then I had to buy a laptop too. My old laptop was on its dying leg. And one of my professors, she's like, Vanessa, this is not good. If your screen is doing this and it's too slow, it's time to invest. I was like, no, I don't want to get a new laptop. You don't know how much stuff I have in my old one. Get a new one. And I totally embrace it. So get out with your old habits, get in with technology, with the newer phones. Just to Desiree's point with Clubhouse, and she had to go to an Apple. So I'm also Apple and non-Apple person. But yeah, embrace technology. That was the biggest factor for myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning all these new things. But yeah, just roll with the punches and learn how to adapt, because we all need to adapt in this crazy environment of this world with the pandemic. But it's been a blessing in disguise, because again, we revert to know thyself, know who you are, and just learn, be adaptable and learn, and get up and go, because we're not going to wallow. We're not going to sit. Yes, we all have those ebbs and flows. We get down, but then you're like, wait, I could do what? So then, another thing, I became an avid user of YouTube. When in doubt, I go to YouTube. How to blah 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 blah. Right. So yeah,
the University of YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. I'm tutorials right there my way. How do I do this? Okay, hold on. Rewind. Stop. Go back. So YouTube has also been my newfound friend, more than prior. Yeah. So there you go. What about you, Desiree?
You sound like my learning lessons. So when I was 16, I used to do all the mechanic car fixes for our family. So I'm the only girl. I have an older brother, younger brother. So my dad would throw me out there and I'm like, I'll go fix it. I'll go fix it. I did everything. It was like, I want to learn. I ask. So you found my secret that, YouTube became like, why are these people putting out there how to fix things? And I said, because they just enjoy showing that they know how to do something. And so, when you bring in new talent, when you bring in new people, I'm always saying, go Google it. There's a way to show how to do every aspect of life. And, I was taught young that ask questions and you'll receive the answer. And whether it's spiritually, whether it's mechanically, whether it's knowledge, whatever. And so that's one of the greatest things that we get into these silos that you have to expand. And so I'm so with you, Vanessa. I think it's great because to install a part, are you getting ripped off? How much does something cost? Real estate, you can actually Google what it costs to install drywall per foot, or any aspect you want to do in real estate. You could see what is it going to cost for the normal average price in every destination or local area. So whether you're getting ripped off in a I'm not going to say in a pinpoint, but in a generic way. So you have at least a base or framework to start. Who's giving you warranties? Who's going to be there? Who's been around for how long? Our phones are master computer. Oh, can you see this now? Our phones are master computers. That when I was young, you didn't, you had to walk around with the Bibles and the encyclopedias and or have it up here. So having that ability to connect and understand is huge. So to answer your question though, Vanessa and Angie and Leora, is that one thing that I've learned is that instead of being fearful of just saying it, do it. So I've been one to stand up and talk, but I've not been the one to actually be the developer to actually take hold and go with it. So, yes, I've sold 6,000 properties. Yes, I own a real estate company. Yes, I can negotiate the pants off someone. Yes, I know the intricacies of the compliance, and I'll stand up to anyone in that space. But when it came to say, go develop 500 units or go change the narrative and do something, I talk about it. I'm smart about it, but to actually be part of the equation to actually sign the line and do it in the sense of being part of something bigger. So for me, it became not being having to do it all, but just they do it and I'm the advisor, board member, and or part owner, so I can be part of the narrative to change it. And so that became my strength, that I was always looking to someone else. I'm like, wait a second, you know all this, everyone loves all this, so why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you taking heart of it? So now, instead of giving free all day advice on leverages of information, I now command it. So all these people have hired me. I'm on all these different boards. I'm part of all these companies. So to me, that was like, oh, you got this. So that was probably the greatest thing that happened during the pandemic. And that's where I realized that if you just hang around with people who have their goods in order, whether it's Leora and health issues, whether it's, Angie doing these crazy wild ideas out there like the hip camp and opening up to things. I can't tell you how many times we get on these calls and one little nugget you'll tell me that you're working on, I go spread it to thousands and hundreds of thousands. And then everything I curate little snippets and I spread the word. And that is what creates this universe of ecosystem. So that was probably the greatest thing that happened during the pandemic. That's been huge. And I know we all are so busy. I mean, we have so many women that are part of the delegate, and it's hard to get us all together, whether we're at the top of the leadership or we're down in I'm going to call the worker platform, or we're just starting a new company. And I believe that as long as you stay engaged, and whether you can be on a call or a podcast or something, as long as you stay current and relevant what's being on, and you make sure you continue to be that, like Leora, every day, make your commitment, you're going to never lose a beat. But what happens, we get too busy that we're like, okay, I got to do this, and I think I'll make money here, but it's not going to help me here. That opportunity, you miss out. So now, instead of watching the news on, we were all listening to the news, what I do, where I go during the pandemic, Clubhouse becomes my news. So I literally listen and I jump in and out of rooms so I can hear what they're talking about. If it resonates with me while I'm taking a bath, doing the dishes, cleaning the house, taking a walk, I'm like going, my mind's just running 100 miles an hour because I'm always learning. And I'm like being Vanessa, going to university to get my PhD. I'm like going, okay, these are the best of what they do. So I'm taking an experience PhD versus an academic PhD. And I'm okay with that.
I love that, Desiree, experience versus academic. And I would always pass the tests in school, but once being a real estate agent is a perfect example. Like what you learn in the books when it comes to getting a real estate education, you have no business selling a house just because you pass those tests, people. Like it is all about in the field education and that expertise. And it, you said it, and I'm glad that you've recognized that you should be the ringmaster of these circuses, because that is where you roll best. Is like you said, like I heard one little snippet and you need to talk to this person and you need to talk to that person and bring them together in this beautiful tapestry that is, NAWRB and NDILC, all of that. So good on you.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, if you think about, look at Vow to Save. I would have never known, and so many people know about it, how you put together and how you go the integration. But, we have to, we're all in California. So you guys on the East Coast, you blew it. We own this podcast of the West Coast, us three girls on the West Coast. But think about California. We abolished having to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic in high school. How can you graduate and get a degree if you don't know how to read, write, and do arithmetic? Because we want you to feel good. So when you talk about the experience versus academic, if we can't get it into the academic that you're going to get a high school degree, let alone a college degree, master's or PhD, and yet the level of what you got in education when I went to school versus what they're doing now, how do you leverage between schools, subject matter, and degree? So to your experience, our comment about our real estate field, I don't believe anyone passing a test that this memorization should have the right to sell a house unless you're out there dealing with the most expensive, the most personal, the most wealth curation of life. If you don't understand the fundamentals, and especially in this market, 13% in 1 month, not a year, a month, and you can make a really uninformed, misappropriated kind of conversation because you don't know what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's where I think that value.
And we see it more than, I was talking with a seller that was coming to LA, and she had said that she was a first time seller, and I'm not representing her as the listing agent in her property. And I was just baffled at some of the things that have happened and how she was about to be homeless. And like, some agents don't think it through. They just are ready to get your commission when you sell your house. They don't care where you go from there. And this is not a market where you can just be like, oh yeah, I'll find something real quick, because that's not the way that it works. And just making sure that you have, the real life education, because they don't tell you to do that in the books, or, that, oh, hey, what about like the reality of life? Like once you sell a house, you need another roof over your head, unless you're me. But then it's people just, it's kind of sad what I'm seeing out there, and just people struggling because they aren't connecting and they aren't thinking all the way through, and they're working with people that are maybe not, knowing all of these things.
Look at Vanessa, look at you in the lending business. I mean, there's so much red line going, there's so much biases that's going on, there's so much underground current. And for you to keep positive and in the know and understanding that environment, one of the things I talked about the lending market, I had a podcast with Anton Thompson from NAWRB, and said, what if we were to put blinders, know yourself, put blinders on that when you did a loan application, you're not allowed to know what gender, what race, ethnicity, anything about that person other than their income, their debt, their credit score, and if they're a VA, because you have to have your DDT 14 to get a VA loan. Everything else is off the table. You have no access to know about anything. So you are going to quote them a rate, period, and the terms and the package of the closing costs, nothing else. So that way you can't do redlining in your appraisal, the interest rate you're charging, anything. And that way it's a cookie cutter. And then the day before you go to pull loan documents, then you fill in the missing blanks, and then you go through and you fill out the rest of the application that needs to be done. But everything is locked in based on the information, as if it's colorless, that you don't know, or blindless, because that way you have a fair and equitable conversation with the lender. What a concept, right?
I would love
That's
that.
the way it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
okay,
rules
hello.
and regulations. We have the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. We have Community Reinvestment Act. We want to safeguard all communities, all people, regardless of race, creed, sex. We cannot discriminate. So that is the correct way in lending. Has there been gaps? Absolutely. Is it based on certain companies? No, it's individual based, but some you'll see pockets, you'll see numbers, and again, you can have all the theoretical and practical knowledge, but you have to apply it, and you have to be from a lens of color blindness, because everyone is deserving of buying a home. Does everyone want to buy a home? No, and it's okay. We have to respect that. But given our profession of these three, the three of us on this call, we know that home ownership is definitely one of the most potent, successful means of, one, getting appreciation, getting generational wealth, creating a better community, having a sense of stability and less crime. So I'm all about home ownership, doing it the right way, whether it's selling a home, buying a home, or doing lending. We have to come from a lens of doing the best thing for that client, no matter what. To Angie's point too, what are you going to do with that sale of that property? Where are you going to live? Is it going to be a 1031 exchange? What is your plan in place? And that comes from being a really great advisor and knowing your industry. I've never seen it this crazy with, it's a seller's market, limited inventory, days on market, the average sale price. And I've been in this 25 years, and it's just incredible appreciations all across the US, and some areas more than others. And it's explosive.
Right, exactly.
Very interesting. So thank you very much for Know Yourself. We're going to do, and the rawness, so I call it the Leora week, with Leora doing the mental ebbs and flows yesterday from Know the Rules of the Game. It's very, very powerful. And what's really important, I'd like to add to everyone that's watching this and on YouTube and iTunes and Anchor and our website and everything else it's on, is the ideas is that our journey bio. If you remember, every one of you did a journey bio. And to hear all the in-depth things to really help you bring forward that conversation. So as Leora said, it uplifted her to express and get it off her chest to expose. But if we get more eyes and more ears on our journey bios, who we are authentically and what we are, other than just our professional life, this really relates to Know Yourself, right? So I just want to make sure it's on our NAWRB.com/delegates of all you incredible women who have leadership in all different ways and schedules. We're going to be doing next month is going to be, so go back every single day. Please post someone that Know Yourself, tag them, hashtag Know Yourself, hashtag NDILC principles, hashtag 10 for 20. We're all about making sure that every day, the month of April is Know Yourself, because we all are having ebbs and flows, whether it be a minute, whether it be an hour, whether it be a day, whether it be a week. No one is without pain and excitement, but we all have to be there, whether it's physical, financial, mental, or anything that goes with that. So that being said, next month we're going to kick off is going to be Speak Out. That's an interesting. So if you think about, we were just talking about redlining, we were just talking about, it's supposed to be, you know, blindness, and that it's so speak out. I think it's time that we all have a narrative. We all can get it out there to make sure that we can help each other when we have an issue, and we can talk and reach out and speak out. So speak out. Unconscious bias is present, but ignoring it only perpetuates it. Take a stand and speak out. That comes out on May 6th is going to be the next one for the NDILC. And then the next day is going to be good old May 13th is going to be for us delegates coming back. So have an incredible day. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And be safe and stay healthy. And everyone get vaccinated, please. I get my first shot today. Yes. So thank you. All right. Take care and have a good one.
Good stuff, ladies. Take care.
Thank you.
Great to see you all.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Be safe and blessed.